What is up, you guys? Today we got this Charlie Kirk video about this girl who a simple Google search destroys apparently her whole argument. So we're going to see what that's all about. This is the problem, though, I think, with a lot of people's arguments is that they're not fully formed. Like if you have an idea, an ideology, an argument, you should make sure you're right. Like fact check yourself and make sure that this ideology actually follows like a logical conclusion and make sure that it makes sense. So let's get into this video and we'll see what this is all about.
Hi, Charlie.
You are right. I will. One sec. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just have a question kind of based on affirmative action.
Yeah.
I'm a computer engineer here at UW-Madison. I'm about to graduate. And there's a lot that I've found through research and just general, I guess, my studies. Not only does affirmative action like help, minorities, people of color, but also women in general. And there's a lot of facets of engineering, the medical system, and other factors that, because of affirmative action, have helped. I'll just go into something. For example, let's say like in the medical field, endometriosis, something like that has not been studied in women due to so little women being in the medical field. Also, for example, like cars, the seatbelt is made especially for the male body. They're only tested with male mannequins, so a lot of women are in risk of dying in car crashes at a higher rate. There's a lot of things that benefit from a diverse group of people, both in engineering and medical fields and education and other facets of the systems. And I was just wondering, without affirmative action, how do you think we can bring these people in to bring a variety of opinions?
Yeah, no, I mean,
views?
just have a meritocracy, right? So you have 3 white men around you. You can see 1, 2, 3. So if one
have a lot
supports
around me.
affirmative, no, it's okay. If one supports affirmative action,
Right.
it would mean that you would be okay turning to those 3 men and saying, I deserve the position more than you based on something that doesn't matter more
Not
than something that does
necessarily.
matter.
I feel like that's one facet of it that we're not also paying attention to is that
basically.
people that are graduating from the same schools. They're graduating with the same degrees.
With lower test scores, though. Much lower. Every study of affirmative action, for example, the Harvard case showed that it was nearly 40% lower test scores for people of color versus their white male counterparts and Asian counterparts.
And so, how
at
can
some point,
is that like why would that happen? Do you think
why?
it's yeah?
Why
What
would it
causes that? Do you think it's just because like
Well,
people of color are more like stupid?
No,
or,
of
like,
course not.
Right.
I mean, people of color come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that don't prioritize education as
So
much.
how do we
But
fix
that's
those
not,
socioeconomic statuses?
Right, that's an interesting point. Not should we try to penalize white males that are competent to go run our systems and our institutions. So
Right.
those are 2 different things.
Right.
So what we're doing is our institutions are now becoming less excellent. Our country is not working like it used to because we basically told people that are very qualified and very competent that, sorry, we're not going to put a position for you here. For example, the U.S. Secret Service. Let me just give you one example, okay? We can all agree that protecting a president, whether it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, is super important, right? But now the Secret Service has said that we want to have 30% of all our agents be women, which, by the way, they have lower fitness criteria.
Which isn't that a little bit sexist right there? Not even a little bit. Isn't that sexist to just say like, oh yeah, we're going to have like lower standards for you guys. You're going to be able to get in easier, but it should just be based on qualifications. Like, can you do the job and can you do it well and can you do it better than the next person? Like, can you just do the freaking job and do it well? And that's it. Like, you have to have this fitness criteria. Sorry, it's hard. More women are not going to be able to hit that criteria than men because women are biologically, they're different. They're not going to be able to do as, rigorous of a fitness stuff. Most women, but women can hit the guy's standards. Like a lot of women can. Just less women than men can hit those standards. But it should be about the quality and of the criteria, right? Of being able to just do the job. You have to be able to do hard things. And if you can't do it, sorry.
So they have less pull-ups, less push-ups, slower mile time.
Yeah, that's something that's due to like your
Hold on.
like, genetics.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
Right.
but this is affirmative action, right? And so therefore, when
Well, there's like fields like I don't think that's a
But
good. One second. I just don't think that's a good example because like women will never be as strong as men, at least
Got it. So
genetically.
that's an interesting
So I
question.
think it should be something that's more like
will women be
ideologically based.
Will women be as good at engineering as men, person for person?
Not necessarily, but
Okay, well then, how is that different than the Secret Service example?
well, the problem is that
Because
for
the male mind is wired different than the female mind. By the way, men will never be as good.
Why is she arguing that? That's a fact. That is, oof, that's a fact.
Hold on, I'll prove it to you. Men will never be as good at counseling or psychology sessions as women. Men will never be good at nursing or elementary school education as women. We have certain giftings because our brain is wired a certain way. Women are far better gifted at micro topics, so individual connection, empathetic type conversations, healing people that past trauma and wound. Men are much better at macro topics, right? Trying to build a building, put a skyscraper up, trying to talk geopolitics. And I'll prove it to you. When you go and you see 5 women eating lunch, they're probably talking about micro topics, conversations they had, relationships, friendships. Men, they're talking about politics, sports, or the stock market.
That's not necessarily
Oh,
true.
yes. You guys all agree, right?
I mean, there's a reason I'm
These
here.
these are bimodal general truths, right? Of course there's exceptions, but
Right. And that's the important thing, right? It's like, generally speaking, women are wired that way. Generally speaking, men are wired this way. It doesn't mean that all women are wired that way. No woman can become an engineer or be good at it or be as good as a man. It's just, generally speaking, that women are not wired that way, and so most women are not going to be as good at it. Most women are not going to be able to be as fit as like men, generally speaking. But that doesn't mean that there aren't, like, outliers, and there aren't a lot of women that can do those things and do them well or better even.
It's not a general truth, though. I feel like women have the capability of having political conversations.
Of course they do, but it's not the general wiring or nature of women.
It's not. There's no wiring for your brain to like Donald Trump. Like, that's not a real thing. I feel like.
But wait a second. But do you think that men and women are made different in our brains and our
certain things, but not necessarily. It doesn't channel you to be a specific.
Yeah, he's surprised because she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Big thing.
What things?
Well, there's specific wirings to produce certain types of hormones, and that's differences that are genetically.
So you don't think that men are more likely to like contact sports, more likely to enjoy football, UFC, hunting?
I think that's because of a societal norm in general. Over a lot of time.
No, come on, you're smarter than that. That's not true.
Well,
hold on. So why is it
there's women that play football? So you can't just say
that. And there are men that dress in drag, but those are not the general truth of it. So let me just be clear. You think that there's nothing within the female brain in its constitution that makes young ladies more likely?
I mean, being that I'm an engineer, I don't think so.
Look at her. Okay, she's very uncomfortable. It looks like her body language, right? And of course, she's in this, sort of stressful, I guess, environment. She's talking with him, standing in front of a bunch of people, all that stuff. But she's getting more and more uncomfortable because it doesn't seem even agrees with what she's saying. She's just been programmed that, to disagree with the points that he's making, essentially.
No. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I feel like there's.
So you think if you pick a random lady here that they'd be just as comfortable sitting and watching a 4-hour football game than they were to go get their hair done with their best girlfriend?
Well, I feel like that's kind of diminishing to say, because you're a woman, you will not be able to sit through a 4-hour football field.
Is it diminishing to say a man wouldn't want to go get his hair done? No.
No, I'm sure you get your hair done, right?
Not really.
It's the double standards, bro. It's the double standards that get me.
It's 10 minutes in and out, like barbershop.
Okay, but you still do it.
But the point, again, there are certain things that women will take more seriously. For example, women will take a lot longer getting ready for the day than men.
Yeah.
Right? Why?
Because we're held to higher standards to look pretty.
No.
For example, your hair. How short is your hair? It's super short. Mine, it's going to take longer to dry.
Do you wear
right?
makeup?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you want to look pretty, and it takes.
Yeah, that's not important to me because I'm a man.
Well, right. But who made you feel that way? But
there's something in your
but you
wiring.
Feel comfortable not wearing
it's
makeup because of a certain reason.
Well, but you wouldn't feel comfortable wearing makeup?
I can not wear makeup.
But why do you do it?
I mean, right now I'm not wearing anything really.
No, I know, but that's the point, is that at some point you wear makeup because there's something within your wiring that says, I want to be presentable to the world, and that wiring honestly is, I want to find a mate to have children.
I mean, this question was about affirmative action. I think we're getting
No, it's not. It's actually really important because I don't think there's any differences between races, but I think that when it comes to affirmative action, we're saying that there are differences.
Right.
That we're trying to say that things that don't matter should matter. So I don't think race matters. Affirmative action says race does matter.
What about women also in fields like that? Like what I explained earlier.
I think that's even more dangerous, to be honest with you. If we're going to say that women should be Secret Service agents protecting Trump.
Not Secret Service. I'm talking about medicine, engineering, that type of thing.
Well, hold on. Okay, so should we try to have the same amount of female to male OBGYNs?
I think it should be similar to the amount of
OBGYNs,
the general population.
So hold on. 85% of all OBGYNs are female.
Yeah.
So now should we have parity so that men...
I have an OBGYN that's a man. That's not a problem.
Well, but okay. I think she doesn't want to accept the logical argument that he's making, because she's going to say no. Of course, she's not going to say, oh, you should take away, what is it, 35% of the jobs from women just because we want to have 50-50. No, it only works one way, and that's the problem. The double standard.
That's not the point. The point is, should we have parity?
I think it should be similar to like whatever the.
Got it. Okay. So you're consistent. So women studying in the OBGYN field will be actively discriminated against. So a man can, because we must have parity.
It's not about people in the OBGYN specifically. It's about people in general. Men were, like, for example, women were not able to vote until like less than 100 years ago, basically, right?
What does that have to do with?
One second. So because of that, a lot of the laws, a lot of everything that's set in place was made by men, was excluding women, was creating like reforms and like certain legislations that would specifically,
Look at bro over here taking a video.
support
Or a
men
picture.
rather than women, because women don't have that ability.
Or support society. I don't think it was always about
Well,
supporting
for
men.
example, like what about it? Like what I brought up, endometriosis, so like the seatbelt accident, like all this stuff is due because we tend to favor men in specific.
Well, so I just don't believe that. First of all, because research
I
will go
can
where the money
show
is.
you,
And
but-
so if there was money in endometriosis research?
Not much, because
Well,
men
that's
don't
why.
care.
So maybe it wasn't sexism. Maybe it was a monetary explanation.
Well, who has the money in a society?
Well, actually, women
usually?
control more money than men in the country.
But women weren't able to have bank accounts until like less than 100 years ago, so they can't really build that generational wealth.
Do you think it's been a better thing with women's liberation in the last 20, 30 years?
Yeah, I would
Do
be.
you think, that's interesting. Do you think women are happier in America today than they were 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Then why
doubt
are they
that.
the most depressed group in the history of the species? Women are the most miserable they've ever been. Like, why is that?
I don't think that's because we're allowed to have money.
No,
now,
I'm asking but it's like more liberation, more college degrees, more birth control, less marriage.
I would
less
argue
kids.
otherwise. I don't
It's almost like there's something wrong. Almost.
know where you got that data.
No,
that, we're
everybody
more
agrees that
depressed.
women are super miserable. As far as versus 30 years ago.
Well, it could be the fact that because women weren't able to go to a psychologist or like before.
Or maybe it's because they're not doing the one thing that they want to do, which is to get married and have children.
Yeah, she's saying that. No, it's actually opposite. It's saying that women actually. Says women around the world report higher levels of life satisfaction than men, but at the same time report more daily stress.
Yeah,
so we're just held to
type in women antidepressant use 2024. It is the highest it has ever been.
But there's like more layers to it than that. It can't just be that. You have
Is
to
there?
look at why are women more likely to go and talk to a psychologist. There's the differences in that.
So, but I'm just curious. So, do you think women are generally happier in 2024 than they were in 1964?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I just had the question of how would you want to fix that? Just
There's no problem to fix. Pure meritocracy.
no, I'm just saying like how do you bring people with diverse opinions?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, I don't care that much about, I care about excellence.
So like women, like you used to be
I
studying
don't
into
care
stuff
about
like
putting women in
endometriosis
STEM.
and
I
stuff
care
like
about being
that.
a strong
No, I'm talking
and-
about like being able to like look into those type of things, like endometriosis, like all this stuff. How do
I-
we make that
that's-
safer for
those
other
are-
people without bringing people that care about it?
Not that important to me. I want the country we once had,
Oh.
which was the greatest country ever, where we put excellence and we put superior intellect above like sensitive racial politics. Not interesting to me.
Okay.
Because it was a bunch of white men that were like running the country, and all of a sudden we've
I'm
decided.
not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just
no,
saying
good.
that.
Like that's fine. I mean, but when we used to have a country that was based on merit, we were more successful, and we were a better run country, and we're objectively not now.
Yeah.
We're a country
I'm just
can't
saying that in
we can't even
engineering, there's
protect
a
a
lot
president
of-
from getting shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts in engineering that because we don't have a diverse look of opinions, and we're putting certain people into more danger, like women in cars. That's like one example.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay.
Okay, hold on. I'm a little bit bugged because I didn't see any Google search. I didn't see any Google search destroying her whole argument, unless I were to do a Google search right now, in which case maybe I would find that. But I mean, I guess he's talking about, right, the whole like, women being happier in 2024 versus 1996 or 7 or whatever it is that he said, and the amount of antidepressants and stuff like that, which is obviously like, again, simple Google search would definitely tell, like, people are crazy on those pills these days. It's kind of insane how many people, men and women and just people in general, are all up on them. But I kind of agree with her a little bit, actually, as far as like, it's not just that. Like, there's, of course, big pharma and like all the, all the money that plays into it, and, the recurring revenue and giving out pills and doctors and all this stuff. And I'm not saying every, doctor is just like, oh, let me just prescribe pills and stuff, but there's more to it, right? There's like, you got to follow the money, all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, so I don't know though. I wish he had just like pulled up something, that Google search on there, but that's me. I have zero idea how Charlie Kirk has this much patience when talking to a brick wall. It was kind of a brick wall because she didn't really want to listen to him, but he also like semi-listened to her only a little bit. Never seen someone try so hard to be a victim. That's true. I mean, the affirmative action is basically like victim mentality. Like, oh, I'm a woman, or I'm this race or this demographic, so I should be able to get into this job just because that ahead of you, even though I'm not as qualified. And I'm with him on that, with Charlie Kirk on that 100%, which is like qualifications. If you're qualified, if you're better than the next person, if your excellence exceeds their, subpar, whatever, like you should get the job. That's it. Regardless of demographic, regardless of race, regardless of sex, gender, whatever, it doesn't matter. Need her name so we don't hire her. No, let's not give out her name. Engineer, terribly misguided. Yeah, engineers are supposed to be very like logic based, and I wasn't seeing a whole lot of that. But straight up conflicted herself so much back and forth. F this, no voting until 25 plus. Honestly, that might be a good idea. Because you kind of don't really think very well until like your mid 20s, men and women, generally speaking. She cannot stop interrupting. Gonna look back at this with probably massive regret. Like, good grief. All right, you guys. I will check you on the next video, and see you later.